10 easily avoidable blunders from 200 wedding photographers. We actually polled 200 different wedding photographers in the SR Lounge photography community and Facebook page. We added our own first. We talked about kind of the most easily avoidable blunders, had everybody vote and poll on it. Mm-hmm. With 200 people that participated in this poll, this is what we arrived at in terms of order of importance for not being an idiot at a wedding.
So hard for people to avoid doing.
It's very typical. And number one, first and foremost, and I can honestly say this deserves to be number one, is backing up without looking behind you. So dangerous. Yeah. So incredibly dangerous, yet you see it all the time. Not only can you knock over people, which is the big thing, is like a grandma that can't move out fast enough as you are backing up towards her.
Poor grandma.
I know. It's like impending doom. It's like this slow motion accident that she sees coming, but she can't do anything about it. Just don't do it. I once also caught my second shooter, actually. This was way back. My second shooter is backing up. She hits a step, and she falls backwards, and the cake table is right behind her.
No.
And I kid you not, I saw it from like 7 feet away,
and
I started running towards her, and she's falling, and I put my hand right in her back and caught her just before she hit the cake. Yeah, it's like my only hero moment ever.
Okay, yeah.
But it was a good
Sounds like
moment.
it.
But I was like, oh my gosh, look behind you. So there's an easy rule to, like, when you're backing up. Like, if you're going down the aisle, you want to back up. If the path is clear, you can just tell the guests, I'm going to be backing up, so just don't step behind me. You can do that. If you're not sure, if it's a very tight space, you have your second shooter put their hands on your shoulder, and then they watch behind them as they're helping you to basically back up.
Yeah. All right. So the second most popular answer was running out of memory cards or space, which is, I mean...
memory cards or batteries, because we actually loop those or group them together. I think it's happened to all of us. Just, look, don't go into a wedding with less than... If it's an Indian wedding, don't go into the wedding with less than like 500 shots available on your memory card.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's a standard wedding, I still wouldn't go in with less than 300-400 shots available on your memory card, and look at your battery. Like, just change it out. Get a new battery before you start shooting.
Yeah.
Versus, like, we've had instances where a second shooter's in a certain position, and they look at me and they're like, camera just died, and like the first kiss is about to happen, and I'm like, I got it. It's fine. So just make sure that doesn't happen. The worst part is, like, if you run out of memory just before something major happens.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Oh my
gosh.
Scary. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Number 3. What do we got, number 3?
So we have autofocus, beeps, and loud shutters. So most of the time, my camera is on silent shutter. So I just don't like... We're working with video, like, pretty much all the time, right? So I don't like having my... every, like, 5 seconds, you know?
You know what's even worse, though? Is in terms of, like, the loud shutters... It's the Uncle Bob with like a D3S or like a 1DX Mark II. And they're like 12 shutters a second. And you're like, dude, what? They didn't move in that entire like 5 seconds. I don't understand.
They need to capture, maybe they're making a flip book and they needed to capture every single part of that movement.
It makes no sense. So yeah, go silent shutter and turn off your autofocus beep in your menu so that doesn't happen either, because that's obnoxious.
Cool.
Number 4 is not having a backup camera. Crap happens. The cameras that we use are incredibly reliable, and even then, we still always have a backup camera.
Yeah.
We require lead shooters to have a backup. We recommend second shooters have a backup, but usually at least one backup on a set is good enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 5.
Not being on your phone in front of guests or the clients, actually. I think I would add that too.
Regardless of whether you're looking at a timeline, whether you are actually working, whatever it is, it looks as if you're doing something that's not related to what you're actually doing.
For sure.
So,
like on Tinder, when you shouldn't really be on Tinder.
None of us are on Tinder.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying, for those that, if it's a priority, you should get off Tinder.
Are
Also,
are you Tinble?
Stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
Bumble.
Another tip, I actually do this for every wedding. I create a condensed timeline so I don't have to refer back to like the vendor timeline, and then I take a screenshot of it and I heart it. If you have an iPhone, you can favorite the image, and then every favorited image shows up on your watch if you have an Apple Watch. So I actually just refer to it when I need to look at the timeline, so I don't have to pull out my phone. And also, like, when I get group texts from the team that we're working with that day, I can just check it on my watch. Yeah.
If you're an old fart like me and you don't like the iWatch,
it's not an iWatch, Apple Watch.
The iWatch, which seriously, who wants this thing?
It's better than having your phone out. That's my point. It's less obtrusive.
Yes, it's less obtrusive.
Yeah.
But what I usually do is I'll screenshot it and actually make it my home page. I don't even know what it's called. I feel like such an idiot when I talk.
Home screen.
I'll make it my home screen on my iPhone. And whenever I pull it out, I'll tell my client that's in front of me, I say, if I'm looking at my phone, I'm actually looking at the wedding day timeline. And I'll just tell them, I'll show them what I'm looking at, so that way it's not like
For sure.
I'm working. Okay, 6. Stepping onto the bride's train or veil.
This is like idiocy at its finest right here.
And yet it happens quite a bit.
All the time. Yeah.
So, like, especially when a guest is like, they got to get that walking down the aisle shot because you got 3 professional photographers who may miss it. I don't know. But it's always the guest that, like, follows too close to the bride. And what I'll usually do, I'll grab the person just as they're heading down. I'll say, hey, we need to get our shot. Shoot from behind us. And you kind of, like, pull them behind you.
Yeah.
Now, every now and then a second or third shooter or another vendor might do that. Just be careful as you're walking behind the bride. If you're walking behind them and they have a cathedral veil or a long train, yes, you can easily step on it.
For sure.
And it's so, oh my gosh, I hope that never happens to me. Like,
and it gets, like, yanked out of her head.
yeah, and she, like, stops, because this is what happens. Like, she's mid-aisle and you yank it out and she just stops, turns around and looks at you. And all 200 guests turn around and look at you and you're like, I wish I were dead right now. I hope that never happens to me. Okay, number 7. Being culturally insensitive. Seriously, people, what's an example of that?
So, I mean, the one that we've included on here is wearing shoes on a mandap. And a mandap, we're going to go into this a little later, but a mandap is the ceremonial stage for Indian weddings. Hindu weddings to be specific, and you're not allowed to wear shoes on the stage because there are statues of gods on the stage, and it's a religious area. And for Indian temples, for Hindu temples, you don't wear shoes when you walk in. So that's one example of that. I also think that, you know, I think, like, there needs to be a sense of, like, lack of judgment when you start shooting cultural weddings, because you have this tendency to, like, always go back to what you think is normal and what society thinks is normal. But when you're shooting, like, a religious ceremony that you're not really accustomed to, you kind of just have to go with the flow. Like, you can't sit there and snicker at things and laugh and stuff like that.
The other thing is, number 8 is standing in front of the guest view. So this is kind of another big deal, and it's very obtrusive. Like, again, all of these are things that are designed to make us think as photographers for just a second that, hey, this day is not really about you. Like, yes, you are a big part of the wedding day because you have to capture photos and stuff, but it is not about you. Standing in front of the guests is one of those things where it literally makes it all about you and about you taking photos, and we don't want to do that. So if in the cases, like, there are certain ceremony setups, there are certain situations where you have to be in the front row. There's a lot of Indian weddings that we shoot where you literally have to be right there.
Front and center. Yeah.
Staying low to the ground and popping up to your knees every now and then to grab a shot is kind of ideal, as opposed to just standing there front and center. So stay low.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Standing in front of vendor camera angles. So that's, I'm assuming, video, right?
Video,
you know,
or, yeah.
Always check with a video team before the ceremony starts to see where they're set up, and then kind of work around them and make sure that if you do pop up into their shot, that they have a second angle so that you're not completely blocking their shot too.
Yeah.
They're here for the same reason, so yeah.
Be cognizant. Think one thing. And what we usually do is we'll talk with them beforehand, like you said, and we'll say what is generally a cinema team is going to have a first, second, third position as well. So if you just stack on those positions, then you're good.
For sure.
And what we'll do is, as I walk up to the cameras, you'll see the live view generally behind it. And you can always ask, can I just peer in and take a look at your composition so I don't get in your shot? And they'll really appreciate that, as you are kind of showing that you want to stay out of their way and make sure that they get a good product too. Keep in mind, you mess up their product, well, they're just going to blast you in front of the client, right? And it's very easy to blast you because you're literally in their video.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, he was in the video, so I
Here's
can't do
live footage of Pi walking in my shot.
There is evidence of this douche named Pi just standing there doing nothing. It's happened. It's happened. It'll happen to everybody. Lastly is improper wedding attire.
Yeah.
So our wedding attire is to dress like a guest. Okay, so for our studio personally, we go with either black pants, white shirt, black tie, or we go black on black on black. So just full black. What? Black on black on black?
Yeah, I felt like you needed to wrap that. Like black on black on black.
Black on black on black.
Okay, it's not as cool. I thought it would be cool if you did it. I thought I could up your cool point.
Oh, I knew it wouldn't be cool if I did it. I just wanted to see how you felt if I did it. So.
And for females, if you're not into wearing like pants, if you're more comfortable in like long skirts or
Yoga pants.
Yeah, I wear
Don't
leggings.
do
I wear
yoga.
leggings all the time, like athletic leggings, because essentially the job requires me to run around a lot. So I like
If
to
it looks
be
good, then do it.
mobile, for sure.
Yeah. So, proper wedding attire. I'd love for our video team, I'm going to throw them on blast right now, to put up a couple pictures and examples of proper wedding attire as we talk about that. So, we'll put the work on them. There you go. Enjoy. Have fun, Jay. That's for being late today. Next video.